Hey guys, welcome to Reddit Brew. Today, to end Entitled Aunt Month off with a bang, I decided to finally write my own story. I know, you guys have been requesting my entitled family stories, and I finally did it. So, here is my entitled aunt and uncle story. My aunt and uncle tried to get me fired over some crumbs. Then it tore the family apart. Some background. This happened around 5 years ago. At that time, I worked for a large cleaning/maid service chain that specialized in both household cleaning and commercial cleaning. I don't mean to sound braggy, but I pride myself on my work ethic and ability to be highly productive. The first and only year they did this, I managed to get the Employee of the Year status out of thousands of employees amongst hundreds of branches across Canada and the USA, which came with a cool $1,000 bonus. I was good at my job, did special little things for clients, like fancy towel/toilet paper folds, nice vacuum lines, and was requested very often. I had never gotten a customer complaint in the 5 years that I worked there. I don't know what happened with my mother's side of the family, but her siblings are all full-blown backstabbing narcissists, some worse than others, that constantly make snide remarks. My mother is not as bad as them, but she definitely has some narcissistic tendencies as well. My grandmother is a sweet, open-minded, non-judgmental woman. So it baffles me that all 4 of her children ended up being so shitty. The 4 of them all married equally as shitty people. Anyway, on to the story. My one aunt and uncle, who are the worst of the bunch, moved and needed a new house cleaner. They remembered that I cleaned houses, so they called my boss and signed up with the company I worked for, specifically requesting me. I came into work the next day, and my boss tells me the news, that my aunt signed up and asked for me to clean their house. Knowing how she and her husband are, I was very apprehensive and asked my boss if that was a good idea, as it would be a conflict of interest. Basically, I tried to say, fuck no, I ain't cleaning that bitch's house, in the most professional way possible. Well, regardless of my strong detest, my aunt was on my cleaning list the next day. I'll be honest, the first few cleans went totally fine. There were 4 adults living in my aunt's house at the time: my aunt, my uncle, their son/my cousin who was in university, and my grandmother. So it was a lot of work to clean up after 4 adults in a huge house, but it was nice to see my grandmother every 2 weeks, and like I said, it was all going just fine. My grandmother and cousin were always home while I cleaned, and my aunt and uncle were usually at work. My gran was always so appreciative, saying how good of a job I do, and that she could see why I was deemed Employee of the Year. My mom was proud and told her about it. It was going fine until one morning when I come into work and my boss has a confused and concerned look on his face. I ask him what's wrong, and he states that my first complaint came in. I was shocked, and at this point, after so many years, I was on a pretty personal level with all of my clients. So I figured if there were ever to be a concern, I would get told it directly. My boss then says, "And it's from your aunt and uncle." Shock turned into rage as my boss hands me over the printed out complaint email. I can't completely remember what it said, but I'll paraphrase it as best as I can. I just remember it being extremely cold, and I was being referred to as your staff. I guess I was not worthy of a name. "Dear boss, Entitled Aunt and I are writing this email in regards to a clean we recently had done by your staff. To say it was subpar is putting it lightly. When Entitled Aunt and I got home from work, we found crumbs all over the kitchen floor. High dusting was not completed." The high dusting he was referring to were 9-foot tall shelves. I am not allowed to climb ladders due to liability reasons. "Hallways were not vacuumed, and some other things seemed intentionally missed. We are very disappointed in your staff and think they should be reprimanded. The cleaning is just simply not good enough. We are only 98% satisfied. Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Regards, Entitled Uncle." I remember the email being about a page long, but that's basically the gist of it. My boss was shocked, I was shocked, and after explaining how my aunt and uncle are, he threw the complaint in the garbage. I told him I was not cleaning their house ever again, and he agreed this time. Hallelujah! I got home from work and was still upset about what happened. The fact that my family would try to get me reprimanded, the fact that they couldn't even use my name, the fact that they couldn't just come to me directly or email me if they had a concern. I called my mom and stepdad and told them what happened. I had taken a picture of the complaint email, so I sent it to them. They were pissed. Like, more pissed than I thought they would be. My stepdad called my uncle and told him that he was a complete piece of shit, asked them exactly what their intentions were with that email, and why they would go out of their way to try and get their niece fired/reprimanded. Who the fuck does that to their own family? My uncle was a complete coward and groveled an apology with his tail between his legs. After he got chewed out by my stepdad, he called me. I let it go to voicemail. He left a voicemail basically saying, "Why would you tell your parents about what happened? This was a professional matter that should have been kept between us and your work. The email was a misunderstanding. We're so sorry, Brookie." Oh, now I get a name? A nickname even. Please call me back so we can sort this out. I never called him back. I did send him an email though, explaining why I was so mad. That perhaps the two adults who were always home made some crumbs after I left, and also why he was now dead to me. Once the rest of my family caught wind of what happened, I think my aunt and uncle told everyone to try to get them on their side. Spoiler alert, no one took their side. My aunt and uncle's children, my cousins, reached out to me to personally apologize for their parents' behavior. My grandma apologized for her daughter's behavior, and this whole thing essentially tore the family apart. My grandma moved out not long after. My mom didn't talk to her sister for a year. My stepdad still hasn't spoken to either of them since, and I haven't spoken to my uncle since either. It's been 5 years. The son that doesn't live with them also went no contact for quite some time. There have also been no family Christmas, Thanksgiving, or Easter dinners since this happened. Everyone knew that they were both POSs, but I guess this was just the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of my family. I unfortunately don't have the picture of the complaint anymore, but I do have the email that I wrote to my uncle. So here it is. Hey, uncle's name. I figured it would just be easier to explain everything in email. Sorry for getting my mom into this, but I was just incredibly hurt that you guys wouldn't just come to me if you had an issue with things, as my boss, name, is required to go through complaints and concerns with his staff. So the email you wrote was given to me this morning. Oh yeah, I forgot. So my uncle didn't think that my boss would actually show me the email that was written by him. I think my uncle just thought that my boss would just talk to me and be like, "Hey, can you do extra next time you're at your aunt and uncle's house?" Or maybe they were just trying to get a free cleaning. I have no idea. But my uncle was absolutely shook when he found out that my boss actually physically gave me the email that was written by him. Anyways, I read the email and was pretty angry because everything in the email were things you could have just talked to me about directly. No, I am not able to dust the shelves that are 8 feet high that have crystal glassware on them. The hard floors are being vacuumed thoroughly every time. I wouldn't intentionally miss something that important. Perhaps maybe the other two people that are in the house before you guys get home accidentally get a few crumbs on the floor. The hallways get vacuumed every time. It's just the way the carpet lays in the hallway that doesn't show vacuum marks very clearly. The rotation system is weird and confusing, but everything does get cleaned every single time. In fact, the rotation system doesn't even apply to you guys at all because I wipe all the baseboards, doors, blinds, shutters, and vacuum the furniture in every single room every time I'm in your house, which is not required to do because they should only be done when the specific room for those things is on rotation. You could have found out all of this information by just coming to me in the first place, instead of emailing boss, telling him you are only 98% satisfied. We could have discussed your expectations, and I could have fixed them accordingly. I go above and beyond for you guys, so yes, I'm a little upset that that's not good enough, and that my family would write a page-long email to my boss about all the things I'm apparently not doing or not doing good enough. But yeah, that's my mom's side of the family, a bunch of narcissists that would willingly throw their niece under the bus just to try to get a free clean. Like I said, I have not seen my uncle or talked to him since this happened 5 years ago. That is my entitled aunt and uncle story. Do you guys understand now why I know so much about entitled people and no contact and behavioral disorders? If you enjoyed this, I'll get around to writing more for you guys about other entitled relatives. I have quite a few of them, unfortunately. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit story. Bye!